There's something of a perfect storm, I think, developing between auto manufacturers, utilities, and consumers around the introduction of the electric vehicle. And I think that the electric vehicle is going to be conceptually a huge success and an ever-increasing part of the landscape for environmental reasons and also for performance reasons. I think these cars are going to be very popular with consumers. There's a tremendous opportunity to the extent that these cars are smart and they're participating in this broader smart energy ecosystem that is emerging, which includes energy efficiency, renewable energy, and increasing smart grid technology. There's a huge opportunity to reduce environmental emissions and basically conduct these charge these cars in a smart way, which would greatly reduce the cost and environmental impact associated with fueling up those batteries and result in much lower prices for consumers.
Now, is the push for smart grid what you're seeing so far? Has that been slowing due to the recession?
You know, it's actually hard to say, honestly. I think it's been moving very quickly. It's hard to say how much more quickly it might have been moving had it not been for the recession. Certainly the Obama administration thought a great deal about the clean energy economy and the smart grid in designing the stimulus proposal. And the stimulus that we saw last year contained an awful lot of upside for the smart grid industry, and that certainly helped. So I think between the pros of the stimulus, the cons of the recession, and the fact that the market is clearly demanding a leaner and greener energy ecosystem, with all of those contrary signals, it's hard to tell what direct impact the recession has had. I can imagine it might have been moving a little bit faster, but certainly as a vendor in the space, I can't complain.
Are you seeing progress more on the state or national level when it comes to acceptance of electric vehicles and implementation?
So it varies at the state level. You have states like California and New York, in particular, say New York City, specifically more I would say the New York State. You've got municipalities and states that are very aggressive and very proactive and visionary, really. You have leaders like Michael Bloomberg in New York, leaders like the mayor of San Francisco, state legislators in California who have been on this bandwagon for years and are making a lot of progress. You have other states that I think are still waiting to see how the electric car plays out in leading states, more progressive, bigger states. Clearly what you want in terms of an entry market is densely populated urban environments, places where people are likely to drive fewer miles on a charge, fewer miles in a given day. Of course, a car like the Chevy Volt by GM addresses the whole range anxiety issue by giving you the ability to drive all electric and then to use a gasoline motor. So if you drive more than 40 miles, let's say, you won't be stranded. And that's sort of one remaining concern that many mainstream consumers have. On the federal side, I think the leadership has been tremendous. I think from Stephen Chu and President Obama, all throughout the administration, I think there's been a pretty clear consensus that we need to push electric vehicles because it's just an incredibly good thing for society and consumers. So the federal leadership has been inspired, I think, for the last year.
With the high cost of electric vehicles due in no small part to the battery itself, typically the battery is the highest cost, how do you bring this market to scale, to large scale? Because we spoke with a gentleman from Ford and he was saying that typically when you look at an electric vehicle now, you're going to have to add on 50 to 20,000 on average.
Right. So that's a very interesting question. It's a great question, and there's so many factors, right, that are at play here. One factor that is worth bearing in mind is that people buy a car for a variety of different reasons. Certainly people don't buy cars on a lowest cost utility basis, right? I mean, why do people buy Mercedes and any number of cars that are more luxurious or have a brand associated with them? So I do think it's a fallacy to immediately focus on the cost associated with a battery and say that's an apples to apples killer, because I really think you've got to come up with a package and market a vehicle that is attractive in totality at a certain price point. And battery costs do need to come down, and I believe battery costs will come down. Another critical element is charging infrastructure. We need to make sure that there is adequate charging infrastructure in people's homes. There are specific issues to do with people who live in apartments and don't have garages where you can easily have charging infrastructure. At work, level 3, which is industry lingo for advanced fast charging. I imagine a time when at all the Exxon gas stations, you're going to have very heavy-duty fast charging infrastructure where people can come in and rapidly charge their electric car and go to the convenience store and buy some things from the Exxon convenience store, and it won't take very much longer at all than it would have filling up your tank of gas. So charging infrastructure is an issue. Certainly the battery cost is an issue, but I think that that's going to be overcome, in the right demographic markets by people who appreciate the convenience of not having to go to the gas station, appreciate the lower effective price of fuel associated with electricity over fuel, and are buying a car that's attractive and cutting edge for a variety of reasons.
Are there major utility companies on board with this?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, certainly the big progressive ones. I mean, if you talk to Jim Rogers, CEO of Duke Energy, you look at PG&E, a lot of the big municipal utilities, all the key utilities, the folks that I think can make a big impact on the market in the next few years are on board. If you talk to Tom Kuhn, the executive director of EEI, the Edison Electric Institute, which is the Association of Investor-Owned Utilities, I think you'll see this is a major agenda item for them. The great opportunity around electric vehicles, in my mind, is to take the excess capacity that exists in the middle of the night, by and large. So take my company software, for example, embedded in a car such as the Chevy Volt. You might buy that car at the Chevy dealership and receive word that you're going to be paying, in effect, $1 per gallon gas or 95 cents per gallon gas. GM could give you the latest and greatest numbers, but something in that ballpark, by plugging in at home at your standard utility tariff. However, with our software loaded on board, leveraging the navigational system, the onboard telematic system that's going to be on the car anyway, when you pull into your garage, you put the car in park, you can get a choice right there in the navigational system that says charge now for $1 per gallon gas equivalency, or let the utility charge it for you overnight at 10 or 20 cents per gallon, a huge savings. Now, in many instances, someone might be low and be planning to go out later that evening. They might pay the higher rate. But many people would simply choose option B. You could also choose to power by wind or power by solar. So you make that choice. You plug in the car. The car sends a signal to the utility. It registers your preference, just like your cell phone registers your preference all the time when you make choices in your cell phone. And the utility knows, hey, Sean's car is not going to, we're going to have that ready for him by 5 in the morning. We can control the time of charge and rate of charge. So even if you're plugging in at 6 in the evening, that car may not suck any juice until 11 o'clock midnight. And then the utility will charge it for you at a lower rate, aligning your interest as a consumer with the societal interest and the utilities portfolio, giving you a lower price and reducing your impact on the environment. I mean, that's a real win-win, and that's just software.